we're going to be talking about emotional and relational prosperity. And this is really interesting stuff. So let's start with an opening prayer. Let's just go to that heart space where we're open and ready to have ideas and thoughts poured into us that we can then take and use, because we know that there is a presence and power that is helping us to grow and evolve, to become more like our way shower Jesus, as long as we occupy these physical forms. And it's such an opportunity to learn and to grow and to be together and to share our thoughts and ideas with one another. For where two or more are gathered, there is a presence and power is increased even more. So let's take that increase, take that presence and power, and use it so that we will be even more the divine expressions we already are. And we're so grateful for being together, for everything that we're going to share today, and for taking this with us into our lives and sharing it with the world. And for that we are grateful, and so it is. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
This is a quote from yours truly. Carol, can you read it?
Okay. Emotional and relational prosperity means having satisfying and rewarding relationship with others and with ourselves. True love with another is only possible when we truly love ourselves. Just as it is important for us to be aware of our thoughts, the same is true for our emotions. How we deal with our emotions has a direct impact on the quality of our relationship.
The objectives today, first we're going to review the first 4 sessions, and then we're going to talk about in human form where we are spiritual and emotional beings, spiritual, physical, and emotional. And we're going to talk a lot about how our relationships with us directly impact our relationships with everyone else. And the first area we'll be talking about is our emotional prosperity. I'm talking about thoughts and emotions. We're going to spend quite a bit of time on emotional intelligence. And then we're going to talk about relational prosperity. We're going to talk about belonging, which is, I was just blown away with what I learned about belonging. And group prosperity. And then, of course, we'll do just to briefly talk about what's coming up next week, which is the final session. So, to review, holism, because we're talking about holistic prosperity. We are already holy. That is completely holy, just the way we are. And everything is connected. And we cannot be disconnected from the whole. So everything that we're talking about, and that's why I mentioned this morning, the financial, we get all this other stuff right, that's going to be the easy part. Because the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. In other words, yes, we are individualized expression of the one, yet the one is all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere and always present. And we remember that and we connect to that. And this just shows us our conscious mind is the one we this is the one we think we got it all together with.
Yep.
Our subconscious mind is what sneaks up and whacks us aside the head when we ain't looking. And then the superconscious mind is that God mind that we want to tap into. Everything in the physical world is made out of atoms. Those atoms are made out of energy. And the energy is consciousness. That presence and power is consciousness. And it is only good, and it is all powerful, it is everywhere present, it is all knowledge, everything. We have thoughts and feelings, and our thoughts, what we do with our thoughts and feelings is up to us. We can choose the empowering thoughts and feelings, or we, by default, if we don't choose the empowering, guess what? As in these physical forms, the disempowering is going to just fall in to fill the void. So it's up to us to make that choice. Our bodies, our physical prosperity is being vibrantly healthy. And we take care of our bodies. We eat nutritious foods. We exercise. And exercise doesn't have to be drudgery. It can be something you enjoy. My sister loves to bicycle. And she does it all the time. I know Linda Ridley, if she was here. She loves to bicycle. She keeps track of how many miles she does during the bicycling season, and she gets out there as quickly as she can. We need to get enough sleep. We need to pray and meditate daily. To me, that should be number one. As far as our physical form goes, the prayer and meditation. That's how Unity Church got started. It was because co-founder Myrtle Fillmore was sick. And she healed herself from an incurable disease of tuberculosis. Supposedly she only had 6 months left to live, and she cured herself with the power of prayer and meditation. And we practice mindfulness. We participate in social activities, and we're having so much fun raising that money. Can you believe we're halfway there? Isn't that wonderful? And we volunteer, we give back. And we need that social support. And that's another thing that we do here at Unity East. And we work together, and individually we want to have a healthcare team that works with us. Self-evaluation is so very, very important. Socrates, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. So we do more than just do the reflection, evaluation. We take ownership. We say, okay, I screwed up. And I screw up. Jackie called me like a week ago, and all of a sudden, and I apologize, I'm really terrible about listening to my messages. And I hadn't listened to it, so it was like a 5-day-old message, and I called her back and I said, I messed up. I'm just now calling you back. Sorry, but I just listened to it for the first time. Sorry. So, we're going to mess up. We just own up to it and deal with it. And then we take action. That's the biggest thing, that fifth unity principle. We got to put what we know into action. Otherwise, what good does it do us? We need to not only know our core beliefs, but we need to contemplate them. Contemplation is really no different than meditation. It's just taking something specific with you into meditation. So if you haven't done this, please take the time, make the time. Think about, what do you believe about divinity? What do you believe about yourself, about other people, about the world around us, and about prosperity in general? And this is going to come into play in some of what we're going to talk about today. Because our state of consciousness is what determines how we perceive and experience the world. Our perceptions are not just perceptions, they become our reality. And when we're looking for spiritual prosperity, we can find it everywhere, just by seeking the sacred in everyday situations. One of the many books that I picked up recently as part of doing that. Doing this class is a really good excuse for me to buy more books. and I found this book by Oprah Winfrey, and it's like little clips, little synopsis of talks that she's done on her Super Soul Sundays. All the really good juicy tidbits. Oh, it's really good. And appreciate every day. Crystal, can you read these for us?
Appreciate every day. Practice mindfulness. Keep a gratitude journal. Volunteer. Spend time with loved ones. Look for the good. Love yourself. It's all good. Appreciate everything.
Yeah. And that's that bottom line is all good. Not just the, oh, this is so nice, I lost 3 pounds. It's the, oh my goodness, I gained 3 pounds. How did that happen? Maybe better get back to the gym, Anita. Yeah. And nature, and you know, I know it's not supposed to be this warm this early, but man, it's giving me spring fever already.
The trees are budding.
It's been a pretty easy winter to get through for Michigan. And I love this quote: "True silence is the rest of the mind. It is to spirit what sleep is to the body, nourishment and refreshment." And that's why our other co-founder, Charles Fillmore, went into the silence every chance he got. And I find myself doing that more and more and more and more. And this quote is the best. I love this quote by Eric Butterworth. Melanie, can you read that?
I'll see.
Okay.
I could read everything when I was sitting over there. Prosperity consciousness. Prosperity is not just having things. It is the consciousness that attracts the things. Prosperity is a way of living and thinking, and not just having money or things. Poverty is a way of living and thinking, and not just a lack of money or things, and I cannot read the more about it.
That's just a little background on Eric Butterworth. But that's whether we're feeling prosperous and seeing prosperity in our life, or feeling less than prosperous and not experiencing prosperity in our life, what does it come back to?
Mind,
Thinking.
action.
That's right. Yeah. So, here we go. The new stuff. This is another Eric Butterworth quote. "The things we hope and pray for can only come when we see ourselves as God or the divine or whatever word you want to put in there sees us. Prosperity in all its forms is not so much a process as it is a revelation of our divine heritage. It's not so much setting something right as seeing it rightly." So, you know, we were like, oh, well, I got to make some changes. I got to make this right. And that's why I was saying, when you go into meditation, take these concerns with you and let them go. That whole let go and let God. This, to me, these Lenten booklets are going to be so beneficial. I was flipping through that thing and I'm like, OMG, this is wonderful. Because we have so many hidden beliefs that we just pretend aren't there. And all change begins with awareness. So we have to become aware of it first. Have you ever read The Little Prince? It's been around for, I don't know, 100 years? I don't know how old it is. And this is from that wonderful little book. And now here is my secret. A very simple secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Yes,
Could you repeat the name of the book?
The Little Prince.
Thank you.
It's just it's a wonderful little storybook. And it's, you know, it's been around forever. But I just love the way I found a book that I had to buy. And you're going to hear a service on it one of these days, a message on it. It's called "Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus."
Oh, I love that book. That book's
It
amazing.
is such a great
He's a
book.
great author. He's
Oh
so
my
funny.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
He's a great
So
author.
anyway, that's again an aside.
It's funny.
Now, neuroscience says we just don't have one brain, we actually have 3 brains. This is neuroscience. This is not woo-woo stuff. This is science. The head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. Again, this is, I just get fascinated with this stuff when I'm doing it. Your head brain deals with cognition, perception, and it's what allows you to master language and communication. Neurons in the brain help to process and send information where synapses, electrical impulses, and hormones talk to each other. This is what gives you the ability to identify objects, patterns, and make sense of the world where creativity and conscious thought takes place. Important stuff. Our head brain. The heart brain. The heart brain has about 400,000 neurons that operate independently from the head brain. Think of your heart as your emotional brain. It's connected to what you value in life and how you feel. Your heart communicates with your head both through electrical signals and chemicals. And this is why a healthy heart is necessary for a healthy mind. Don't you love learning this stuff? I love learning this stuff. And the gut brain, I expected head and heart. Pardon me, I didn't expect the gut brain. You have 100 million neurons in your gut. Instead of the 40,000 in your heart, you got 100 million in your gut. Your gut regulates hormones, metabolism, blood pressure, and processes information as you sleep. The gut sends about 400 more messages to the brain than the brain does to the gut.
Interesting.
Isn't it? Isn't that interesting?
What was the number? 400?
400
More.
more messages that go from here to here than from here to here.
Wow.
Your gut plays a key part in your emotions. For example, almost 95% of your body's serotonin is found in the gut. And what does serotonin do?
Makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's the feel-good stuff.
I always thought it was up here. That's amazing to me.
Isn't it? And that's why I said I get so much joy from putting this stuff together. And I mean, like I said, it's probably going to run, and I'm not going as fast as I should be because I'll never get through all this stuff. It's okay. All right. This, probably not the best background I could have used for this, but Linda Ballard, can you read that?
Sure. Our emotions guide us in facing predicaments and tasks too important to leave to the intellect alone. Danger, painful loss, persisting toward a goal despite frustrations, bonding with a mate, building a family.
And this comes from the Emotional Intelligence book by Dan Goleman. There's a lot in that book. It's not an easy, fun read, but for learning about our emotions and our emotional intelligence, I mean, he tells some stories in there that are hard to read, which I don't like to share those stories because I'm a happily ever after kind of gal, you know. I still believe in fairy tales. However, there are people that make decisions based on inaccurate information, and they end up doing things not only to hurt themselves but to hurt other people. In one of the classes I took, and I don't remember which one it was, might have been communications, I don't know. But this really stuck with me. Hurt people hurt people.
Oh, sure.
And so when I hear things like what happened at Michigan State and all these other terrible things that take place, I honestly have gotten to the point where I truly pray not only for the people who are hurt by the person, but for that person. Because
Always.
for a person to do that, they are hurting so badly. and they don't know where to go. And that's why I keep saying, reach out to people. Tell people there's a place. There's answers. So, when it comes to shaping our decisions and our actions, feeling counts every bit as much and often more than thought. For better or worse, our appraisal of every personal encounter and our responses to it are shaped not just by our rational judgments or our personal history, but also by our distant ancestral past. So it isn't just what's going on in today's world. I mean, that fight or flight instinct, that amygdala instinct that I have to, I'll share, this is an awful story, but I'm going to share it with you. That came from this book. Parents were out for the evening and they thought their daughter was gone. She got home early and was hiding in the closet to surprise them. They thought it was an intruder, and I'm just leave it at that.
Uh-oh.
That's that gut instinct,
Reptilian brain.
amygdala, reptilian brain. Yeah, and it's just awful what happens sometimes. So the gut directly engages with the world. That we get our instinct, we get our intuition, and we got to learn to follow that. We have to learn to follow that. The head is about observing the world. It's our logic, our reasoning, and our heart is for reaching out to the world. That's where our emotions come from. That's where our memories are stored and our dreams. When it comes to making decisions and taking action, our feelings count every bit as much, if not more, than our thoughts. If you got nothing else from this, if you just put that and ingrain it into your heart, mind, so that you know how important those feelings are. As much as we have three brains, we also have three minds. We have our rational mind, we have our emotional mind, and then where those two come together, we come up with our wise mind. And there's a ton of stuff just on this alone. But the rational mind is driven by logic. It is intellectual. It's our intellectual response. Well, I believe, based on my studies and my blah, 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 that it's this. It's knowledge. Our rational mind does not take emotions into account. Decisions made from strictly the rational mind is, well, I'm going to do it because it just makes sense. I mean, if Keisha Blair would have listened to her rational mind, she would have never taken a sabbatical and taken a year off after losing her husband. There's no way. If she just listened to her emotional mind, because there are some people, either by choice or not, who are driven by their feelings. And that makes them reactive and defensive. They make assumptions. And they jump to conclusions. And they ignore the logic completely. And their decisions are based on what feels good or doesn't feel good at the moment. Not a good way to be. Either one of those, really. The wise mind puts the heart and mind together. It is when we tap into that knowing. It's when we're mindfully present. Mindfully present. Not just present, but mindfully present. And our decisions, when we use that wise mind, are based on our connection with Source, with all that is, with that all-powerful, omnipresent, all good everything good mind, that God mind. You can't mess up when you're working with that mind. Intelligence, again, just love this stuff. Intelligence is divided into interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence is our ability to understand, communicate with, interact with, and influence others. We need that. We're going to focus today on our intrapersonal intelligence, which is our capacity to be self-aware, in tune with our own inner feelings, values, make sure we have them identified, beliefs, and our thinking process. So our intrapersonal intelligence is basically the same thing as that EI, the emotional intelligence. This intelligence includes having an accurate picture of oneself, our strengths and our weaknesses, awareness of our inner moods. I was in one of those the other day. Oh boy. And you know, it's like they come out of nowhere, don't they? Mm-hmm. It's like all of a sudden it's like, poor me. You know, I'm sitting there having my own little pity party for no reason. But we
Maybe
do
it
it.
was a full moon.
Yeah, is that what it was? I don't know. It was a full moon. That's true.
I have to watch, not every time, but every so often, when I go off on some strange road.
Yeah.
Go check and see if it's a full moon, I say to self.
Okay.
I'll be darned.
It could be
But I
real.
never thought of that. But it was just like,
And
I
dry
don't know
so
when
what
she did
this?
Oh,
But it's our, and we need to check our intentions. Intention. If you haven't read Wayne Dyer's book, or even if you have read it, again, it amazes me how I pick up a book that I've read,
I'll have to see if I have it.
The Power of Intention.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
a wonderful, wonderful book. Motivations, temperaments, and desires. It is our capacity for self-discipline, self-understanding, and self-esteem. Essentially, it's how well we know ourselves. And that is a big thing that we do in Unity, is we get to know who we are. Because how can you have relationships with other people that are healthy and happy if you are not healthy and happy within yourself? And this stuff that's real small print, there's 5 segments of this intrapersonal emotional intelligence, and we're going to be talking about each one of them. So here it is, in bigger print. There's 5 areas of emotional intelligence: social skills, self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and motivation. And we're going to spend a little time on each one of those. Social skills. What I got a kick out of this, because when I first looked at this, the stuff that came up was all about little kids, you know, use your manners, share with others, but it's true. We teach basic social skills to our children, and then sometimes as adults, we totally forget about them. So basic social skills include listening, taking responsibility, compassion, being dependable, taking on a leadership role, having patience, and having confidence. These are the adult social skills. Anybody got anything they'd like to share about any one of those, how it's impacted their lives?
I'm laughing at the bear.
Yeah, me
Isn't
too.
he sweet?
Me too.
Like the birthday bear.
The frustrated bear was trying to be patient when his cell phone is doing whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. But taking responsibility, you know, the responsibility is one of my favorite words, because I look at it as our ability to respond, our ability to make a choice in how we respond to whatever situation we find ourselves in. And when we take responsibility for our own behavior, it really does make a difference. So we're going to talk a little bit more about all of these too. Another social skill, and this is one that I'm really working on because I have a lot of work to do in this area. Conflict resolution. I run. I just bail. I mean, I do. It's like, if I go away, is it going to go away? It doesn't, but I try. So one of the steps is to organize a one-on-one meeting with both parties. Then we use a communication tool for an open-ended discussion. We promote empathy and mutual understanding, and we do our best, and this isn't always easy, to keep our focus on the issue without getting personal. We maintain, as someone who's in the middle trying to resolve the conflict, and this, for me, is stepping into a ministerial role. This is going to probably be one of the biggest challenges for me. And so, just so you know, so much. If I'm like, don't you want to go talk to them? Encourage both parties to find a joint solution and make an unbiased decision if you cannot come to an agreement. So these are skills that we need to develop, skills I need to develop, and you can't always just run away. I'm learning.
More you run, the
So
more it
really
comes
really
towards
sad
you. You can't run and hide.
I know. Yeah, well, that's what I learned that with patience, because that was my big thing for a long time, was God grant me patience. Well, the more I asked for patience, the more I got opportunities to be patient. Yeah. Thanks, I think. Second, self-awareness. The ability to recognize and understand our moods, emotions, and drives, as well as their effect on others. The dictionary definition of self-awareness as a noun is conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. And then I learned that there is internal self-awareness and external self-awareness. Our internal self-awareness is how we see our own values, thoughts, and emotions, and the external is how we are seen by others. And again, and I honestly, you guys, I speak for myself when I say this stuff. How many times have I been more concerned about my external self-awareness than I have about my own internal self-awareness?
I love Terry Whitaker's "What anybody else thinks of me is none of mine."
I was just going to
business.
say that.
I'm telling you, it really helps.
It
Because we are
does.
individualized expressions of God. If we don't
Yeah.
love ourselves, never.
Yeah. And as much as I know that I know that to be true,
It's hard.
it's not always easy. It is not always easy. Because I find myself caring too much about what other people think. So, you
We've
know,
had years of programming to make it,
Oh,
get to that
heck
point.
yeah.
Yeah,
heck yeah.
years.
So, I keep going back to, I think that's where the prayer and meditation come in, don't you? I mean, that's how we can become self-aware. We can look at ourselves and find those hidden places that need some work. And again, I go back to the 40 days of letting go. There's some stuff that I'm definitely going to be working on letting go of this Lent. Not that I don't do it other times as well, but what a perfect opportunity. It's not, I mean, yes, okay, could I give up sugar? Could I give up other stuff? Yes, maybe I will, maybe I won't. To me, it's much more important to take care of what's going on in here and here and here now.
Could I add something to
Sure,
Carol's statement?
please.
What other people think of me is none of my business. It's between me and my higher power, God. It's what God thinks of me that is my business.
That's a helpful add-on, thank you.
And if you ask yourself, what does God think of me? Well, that's
That's
an
Total
easy
love.
one. Total love. Even when you screw up,
Unconditional, yeah.
total, unconditional, all the time, never failing love. So these are 6 ways to improve self-awareness. Number 1, ask for feedback. You know, someone came to me not long ago. I don't remember exactly who it was or what it was about. But they said, all of a sudden, this person that I've been friends with for years is avoiding my calls, won't speak to me, and I must have done something, but I have no idea what it is. So they were trying to get feedback. They were trying to do this, but what do you do if you can't get it? I don't know.
Gotta let it go.
Yeah, give it to a higher power.
And know that it's, and I had a friend remind me this, it's most likely about them
Oh,
and not about us, but I have to remind myself of that a lot.
yeah. But like what we said a little earlier, people make assumptions. You know, they take something that we did as we meant it to hurt them, and we didn't. But we don't even know what it is.
Well, I can't remember.
When Mike and I were first married, he's I love my man dearly, and he keeps stuff to himself. And so everything's going along fine as far as I can tell. And then all of a sudden he's just on me. I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? And he said, well, 3 weeks ago you did, and then you did, and then you did, and that. And I'm like, and so why didn't you tell me 3 weeks ago? Why didn't you talk to me the second time? I said, honey, if you want this to work, we gotta talk. And not 3 weeks later when you decide that too much stuff is piled up and you're ready to blow up. We talk when it happens, about what happened and how you feel, because otherwise, I mean, been there, done that, ain't doing that again. So, right from the beginning, I had to set my ground rules, my boundaries. That it's like, no, that is not acceptable. So, ask for feedback. We need to recognize our own strengths and weaknesses. And I love my strengths, and I'm okay with my weaknesses. And you know, one of the things that I've been learning is that the weaknesses, you know, it's like people say, oh, well, you really got to work on that. Not really. You know, I can just say, hey, it's not a strength of mine. I need help in that area, and I ask for help. We don't have to be all things to all people, even as a minister. So, you know, if all of a sudden you guys are thinking, oh, well, I'll just go to Anita and she'll tell me what, I ain't telling you nothing. I'm telling you that you have the answer in you. I will pray with you. I will help you to find the answer within yourself, but I got no answers. And so just so you know, just saying.
Don't come see me.
See, Ben. Ben has the answer.
Maybe he does, I don't know, but I don't. And self-reflect. So we take what we learn about our strengths and weaknesses, and we think about it. We reflect on it. We decide, is this something that I should work on? Is this something I really need to spend some time on? And if it is, then yeah. I mean, I'm going to be teaching another class probably in the spring on a book called The Eye of the Storm, which is on conflict resolution, because it is something that I need to be better at. And, because I can't always turn it over to Ben.
Turn it over to Gary.
I can turn it over to Gary. There you
There you
go.
go.
If I don't have the answer, I'll make up something.
And you'll never know.
For me.
So, and so I will be doing that class in a month or two after we've had some time to absorb this stuff. But that self-reflection is important. And then, I could talk for hours on monitoring our self-talk. Oh my gosh, when I first realized the stuff that Anita was saying to Anita about Anita, ooh, it was not pretty. But again, all change begins with awareness. Until we know it, we can't change it. And that's the other thing. There's so many people running around out there, beating up on themselves mentally all the time, 24/7, some of them. And guess what? They don't even know they're doing it. So, we need to help them. And this is another one. Boy, I mean, it's like I find this stuff, it's like, geez, it have to hit me square in the face all the time?
Years.
Practice saying no.
Practicing saying no.
Yeah, yeah, it's other people, I see a few others that know how that feels. It's like, no? Is that really a word? Yeah. So, yeah, we have to know our boundaries. And we have to not just with the people closest to us, but especially those people, but we have to do it in our work, we have to do it in our church, we have to do it in life. We have to know when to say, you know, as much as I think that's a great organization or a great idea or a great this or that or the other, I'm just going to have to say no at this time. Carol.
And the mirror of that is when somebody tells us no, learning to celebrate the no. That has helped me so much because it has opened up, like, let's say, okay, this person can't do this, but I can take a walk instead and have a wonderful nature walk. In other words, do something for ourselves when somebody says no to us. That's really been important to me.
Thank you.
Thank you. PM Melody calls it celebrating the no. I love it.
I love that too.
Yeah, I never heard of that before.
I
It's
think that's
important,
wonderful. That sounds like an,
Because, you know, everybody gets a no sometimes, I would think.
Yeah.
We're-
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. And if you
Yeah.
plan, you know, you can either, you have a choice. You can either be really angry and stay mad, and it doesn't hurt the other person. They don't even know you're.
nope.
Or you can go, okay, now this frees up time for me to do whatever.
And was there an author that you
PM
referenced?
Melody, P.I. Melody. She's codependent no more.
Oh,
And
Melody
it's in-
Beatty.
I said it wrong. Melody, I don't know where I even got their name. Melody Beatty.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my
Okay.
God. Yeah, codependent no more. Yeah.
See, another book I gotta buy.
She's good.
I have an extra copy of
That's
that.
an old one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
these old
Oldie but
ones,
goodie.
I mean, it's like seed
Which
of the soul.
means thrift
I
books
was
got.
like, I picked that up and I was like, I know I read this.
We weren't ready for it when we read it.
Wow.
We weren't
And
ready.
thrift books will have it cheap if it's old.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing.
And I get a package from Thrift Books probably at least once a week, if not twice.
Well, you're not like him, a book addict.
Yeah, I am. I'm a bookaholic.
I just ordered a book yesterday, but that was
I
my
know.
first one in about 3 weeks.
Oh,
Wow, good for you.
usually it's a book a week or two.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go check my own library because I have all
I
these.
have.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of
It's
If
a
you
classic.
have them and haven't read them in a while and you pick them up,
Absolutely,
If
Oh
I
my
don't read them in
goodness.
a while.
yes.
it's like they're like brand new.
I'm reading the Art of Attraction.
Mm.
Okay.
Who is that by?
Manifesting.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
by
Okay.
the Hicks
Yeah.
couples.
Yep, I have a lot of your books. I have a lot, I have bookcases full of books, and I mean, I probably don't need to buy any more books, but then I hear about them, it's like, but even if I only read a little bit of it, and I get something from it that I didn't find someplace else. And I think all of us, when we read something, we don't just read it, we use it. And that's the big difference. And then question our decisions. Just because you make a decision doesn't mean you can't change your mind. I mean,
women.
that's right. Especially us females.
Work people.
But we can change our minds. We can make a decision and then realize that it's not working. You know, sometimes things just don't work out. I mean, I've been through a few relationships, and by the time Mike and I got together, I knew what I wanted and what I didn't want. And that's why I was wise enough to say at the beginning, this is the way it's going to have to be if we're going to stay together. Because I wasn't going to go there again. Self-regulation. There's somebody missing today that I really was hoping was going to be here for this. The ability to control or redirect disruptive influences and moods, and the propensity to suspend judgment and think before acting. And we're going to talk about the difference between willpower and self-regulation. Self-regulation falls into two categories. Again, intellectual and emotional. On the intellectual side is our willpower, our executive functioning, our flexibility, our effortful control. Not effortless, effortful, full of effort. Takes a lot of effort. On the emotional side is our emotional regulation, our self-control, and self-management. Self-management, key word. This is a very good, I don't know who Stuart Shanker is, I just found this quote. Self-regulation is the ability to manage our own energy states, emotions, behaviors, and attention in ways that are socially acceptable and help achieve positive goals. That's mine.
Oh.
Jackie.
I was gonna say,
We tried to give
that's
her-
Anita's. She took her.
It's one of my favorites.
We're all right about this jacket.
You can multitask.
Trade my jacket for your jacket.
I still want that coat here.
Say that again, Anita.
Yeah, sure.
Self-regulation is the ability to manage your own energy states, emotions, behaviors, and attention in ways that are socially acceptable and help achieve positive goals, such as maintaining good relationships, learning, and maintaining well-being. So self-regulation is a biggie, that it's not about willpower, really. I found this to be totally fascinating. Self-regulation versus self-control. Self-regulation seeks to identify and reduce the causes of problems in mood, thought, and behavior. Self-control seeks to inhibit or manage such problems only when they arise. So, it's a subtle difference, but it's such an important difference. Instead of, I'm getting angry, so I want to control my anger, it's saying, what is causing me to get so angry? And if I can get to that cause of the anger and work on the cause, then I don't have to exercise willpower to just fight it.
You know, if you're right in the middle of something, with some kind of confrontation, whichever way it goes, it takes a mighty, I'll say, if it's a combination of surrender, I'm not quite sure what the bottom line is. if it's a combination of surrender to make self stop and just flip it like that. I mean, this is really,
Yeah.
for me, it's deep. I don't know about
It
anybody
is,
else.
it really is. But and when you said that, what it made me think of that quote that we mentioned, that was read earlier, about it goes back to our ancestral roots.
That is one of the reasons, and this is just last night and the night before, I pray regularly for my ancestors, the majority of whom I do not know from the beginning of time, whoever, wherever they are. I believe in reincarnation. I have nobody else. If I'm offending you, I apologize. But, because I know I carry bits and pieces of like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And wherever they are, I want the peace of the Holy Spirit for them. I want a gift for them, whatever it takes them to the next level of where they are, whatever it is they're doing. It's peace and love, and the emotional everything that we're talking about here. I mean, I guess I'm, in essence, praying for things I don't even know about, just for a higher level of whatever it is.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And doing all that would help you not go to the purple box.
That's right.
No, really.
That's
You know
right.
Really?
what? I can't read the purple box,
That's
so I
why-
mean, I'm just.
That, yeah,
It's the,
it's pretty, it's something we are
yeah,
aware of.
okay.
Well, I use
Self-
self-regulation to not buy into somebody else's upset.
Yes.
That's a,
Yeah.
that's another good one,
That's
yeah.
another very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-regulation capitalizes on recent, I know this is small, that's why I'm reading it. Self-regulation capitalizes on recent advances in the science of stress management. Self-control looks at age-old methods of punishment and reward to manage behavior. You know, okay.
We were raised that way, many of us.
Oh God, yes. Oh yes, we certainly were. But we're old enough now that we can choose self-regulation over self-control. Self-regulation seeks to reduce the effort required to reach effortful control, whereas self-control encourages battling weaknesses to exercise effortful control. So if it requiring a lot of effort to control our anger, to control our sadness, then we have to go back to that first one and look for the cause underneath. Because until we get to the cause, and typically you're going to find that there's a story that you've adopted, that you've been telling yourself since you were knee-high to a grasshopper, as they say. And until we find out what those stories are and then change that story, that it's still going to keep coming at us. Because that's these tough lessons aren't here to hurt us. They're here to help us. And I'm with Melanie. I don't think that this go-round is the only go-round. I mean, honestly, it's the only way I got through losing my baby. So, when they say the good die young, I believe that is true. They don't have to suffer the way some of us do. Self-regulation is about looking non-judgmentally at one's impulses, worries, and fixations. Self-control is about being judged by oneself as much as by others. So, we don't want to be self-controlling people. We want to be self-regulating people, which means we see beyond appearances, right? Self-regulation looks at the social dimension. Self-control focuses solely on the individual. So when we are self-regulating, we don't just look at how it affects us. we look at how our behavior affects other people. Because we want to, social situation, we all have social situations that we enter into. And we want those interactions to be pleasant for everyone. And if everyone was practicing not self-control, but self-regulation, and working on getting to the cause behind whatever behavior they're exhibiting, then we're going to get someplace. Until each one of us, because all change is just how many of us are moving in that direction. It's like when we get to that tipping point. Anybody ever read that book, The Tipping Point?
Malcolm
Malcolm
Gladwell.
Gladwell? I was going to say Maxwell, and I knew that wasn't right.
Close.
Yeah, but yeah, the tipping point. It's like one of those scales of justice that you see.
Pendulum.
Yeah. How much weight where you have the weight is where it's going to tip toward. So if I don't know, it just takes work. The fourth area is empathy. And, it's our ability to understand the emotional makeup of other people. And I think that's one of the things that I've seen plentiful here at Unity East. I think people really care for one another, and they have that empathy. In my research, I came up with 3 types of empathy. Affective empathy is the ability to respond to other people's emotions appropriately. If we understand or feel that we can feel what someone else is feeling, if we can, someone's sadness with a loss, someone's joy with a celebration, someone's pain when they're, maybe going through a physical malady. That is how they feel about it. If we can understand how they feel, then we can support them in either moving away from that feeling if it's not serving them, or just sometimes there's nothing we can do except give somebody a hug and let them know we care. And that sometimes is all we need. Then what they call somatic empathy is the ability to actually feel what another person is feeling. There's one thing to understand what they're feeling, and it's something else to actually feel it. I don't know that I really want to go there myself.
Yeah, do we need that?
Yeah, I think I think there are some people that can't
Well,
help
it's a
it.
gift. It's a gift.
Yeah.
Probably a blessing.
Yeah.
Their life work is probably
Yeah.
revolves around that.
Yeah. And then cognitive empathy is the ability to understand someone's response to a situation. So if you can, and again, I think the cognitive empathy is what I was talking about when I said when hurt people hurt other people, that I pray for not only the people who are hurt, but the person who is doing the hurting, because that person wouldn't be doing that otherwise. So I pray for them as well.
Pardon me, go ahead. I got myself, really, I was saying prayer mode, when the Ukraine was invaded, it was like, I just wanted this whole church to stop, everybody to come in at least 15, 20 minutes ahead of time, so that we as a group could pray, not only for Ukraine, but also for Russia. Because yes, there is the ruler there, but there is these millions of other people who are suffering the hurt
Yes.
that's involved.
Think of how many of those Russian soldiers have died.
Absolutely.
How many families have
Yes.
lost loved ones. And they just keep sending hundreds of thousands more and more and more.
You know, because of the control and power of those at the top.
Yeah, I was just this morning. I said a little prayer. If there's something that a higher power can do to change that situation, please. Yeah.
And it boils down to what can we do in our everyday life that will help. It's kind of a giant energy grid that if we can do our bit wherever we are, whether it's in our own home, in our own community, city, to make things right and comfortable, then it affects everyone.
Yes.
Why can't we do it in this room like before church, or a different day during?
Well, there were a few, we started, there were about 6 of us that started coming in, but it was really hard, even when people were being asked to be quiet, and I don't know who was there when I stood up and made my statement.
But I think what's interesting about that is, in this case, we're kind of talking about the somatic empathy that sometimes people don't want to go to. Because I remember when you did that.
I mean,
So,
I don't want to,
Right.
I acknowledge their pain, I don't necessarily want to feel it.
right, but I
Empathy,
think
compassion.
in some ways you did feel it. Because the intensity with which you were pleading or asking for this to
I
happen
like that
was
word,
from
pleading.
a emotional feeling place. Now what I've experienced in doing Reiki work or healers run into this all the time. And so I think when we're experiencing these feelings, if we take the time and ask, is this ours? Is this theirs? Or somebody else's? Whatever. And to be able to make that, and then to be able to listen
Distinction.
for the answer to that. That kind of helps us. And I think that from that standpoint then, that the feelings that we have are not overwhelming. And if we acknowledge that we have them, then they kind of go through us and they get released and they get let go.
Are you asking what you're feeling, or are you asking?
I'm asking
they are owning
if this feeling is mine or if it is from somewhere else.
But who are you asking?
I'm just
Higher
asking
power.
within myself, yeah.
Within yourself?
Yeah, or I would be asking spirit,
Well,
yeah. I would be asking
Some of
spirit.
us are natural paths, and we do feel it.
Right,
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I know I do. I feel someone else's
Right.
pain. I don't want to stay there.
Right, right.
But,
Right.
yeah, but I know Melanie did ask, and we were doing it.
Yeah.
And I think we still should do it. I mean, that's my opinion.
Mhm.
And if you come in a separate room where you won't have noise, you can close this door because people do come in.
Well,
you
they're
know how it is.
rehearsing in here.
Oh.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
another room? Isn't there another room?
Ben's office.
Ben's office. Well, why could we do it in Ben's office? It could be 6
It's
people, it
small,
could be
but-
8 people. It
Right.
doesn't matter, at least we have the space and we can, whoever wants to
Right.
come, we can do it and
Yeah.
see it.
Because I really didn't know that there would even be another space available. I mean, that's,
You can always use Ben's office if he's not in there.
Yeah,
yeah,
and, yeah,
you know,
I don't
just
see no problem with that.
whoever would want to.
I'm
I
really
mean-
nice, tell them, come on, we gotta go, we gotta leave early.
Right. And I'm digressing
my
a little, I don't know if anybody talks about first, second, or third force. First force is you really want to do something. Second force is when you start out to do something, there's an opposite force that starts out to stop you. Can hardly tell you what was going on in my life for me to even try and get here, like 20 minutes ahead of time. I mean, and third force, let's get to third force, is our God force.
Mhm,
It's like,
that's
turn
true.
it over to God, and let's go.
That's right, so
Yeah.
I'm here to support you.
Yes.
Jackie?
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the first empathy was.
affective.
Oh, you're back on topic.
Affective.
A-F-F-E-C-T,
okay.
affective,
Okay,
affective.
got
The
it.
ability
Thank
to
you.
respond to other people's emotional
Where's number
Yeah.
one?
appropriately. So, I do think we have
Yes.
empathy in
I'm looking
abundance
for it.
here, I really do.
It's on here.
And empathy is like feeling the sufferings of another person. And here's the benefits. It helps us with our stress management. It improves communication. It supports moral behavior, which, you know, I think of Ukraine about the morality of that situation. Improves a working environment, and I would venture to say a church environment is not a workplace, but there's a lot of similarities. Boosts social behavior and introduces a positive attitude. So empathy, and I think that, I honestly think that's probably one of the really top strengths of this church community, is our ability to really feel and or understand what someone else is feeling and be there to support them, because there's so many people that just don't have that support in their lives, and they can come here and get it. And I just wish that more people knew about us. I really do. That's my wish. And these are the skills that are strengthened by empathy. Negotiation. Think about that. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? When we can understand what someone else is feeling or feel what someone else is feeling, and we're trying to come to an agreement, our skills at negotiation are going to be greatly strengthened. Empathy strengthens collaboration. Again, just makes so much sense. Empathy strengthens our creativity. It helps us to feel safe. I think that's another thing that we really have here at Unity East, is helping others who come in to feel safe. Now, I have heard a couple of stories along the way of people coming in and not feeling that. And that's something that we have to be careful of, that, you know, we say we welcome people, yet how welcoming are we when someone new comes in, especially if they're someone who's a little different than us? Just saying. We want to make sure that anyone who walks through these doors feels safe and welcome.
The first time I came here, I was thinking in that mode, I was thinking there are some people who would find some of this that's going on threatening.
Yeah.
Not me, but I was going, yay!
Yeah. But that's where that understanding other people's feelings come in.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to be hugged. Some people
And that was it.
want you to just, you know, keep your distance and welcome them, smile, show them where the coffee is, show them where the sanctuary is, all those
Bathrooms.
kinds of things, the bathrooms. But don't touch me. You know, there are people like that. And I have to be careful of that, because I want to just hug everybody. And sometimes it's just, you just don't want to do that. And that's where you have to rely on your own sense of empathy to understand the other person. Empathy strengthens our emotional connection to someone. And you know, when we can make that emotional connection with someone, that's when they're going to feel safe and welcome. When we can understand that they don't want to be hugged. And we know that by keeping a space between us And just by smiling and sending good energy to them without a physical touch, and sometimes maybe you can touch them on the shoulder, but don't hug. You just read, you have to read your own vibes and read their vibes.
And ask permission.
And ask permission.
That's huge, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't come near me.
I mean, and even today though, I mean, even though COVID isn't as
But it's, yeah,
prevalent.
it's prevalent, but it's still, it's kind of, you know, you still
Yeah.
get that kind of
Yeah.
Maybe even more conscious of it.
Yeah.
asking always helps.
Yeah.
I mean, I give you a hug.
Right.
And there's always the side hug. It's not so.
Yeah.
It
Exactly.
me that at one point in time, when somebody asked me if they could give me a hug, that actually bothered me.
Yeah, what are you
Not,
gonna
not,
say?
well, no, because I'd be like, well, yeah, sure, why wouldn't you? Because that's my
Right.
stance.
Yeah, so,
Right. But again, you know, sometimes we can't really read another person that well. I mean, and if they're, you know, if we're not reading,
well, to me, that's crossing
Then-
boundaries. I would never dream of hugging a person if they came in that I didn't know.
right,
I mean, to me, that's,
Mhm.
there's a boundary.
Really?
Right.
You know, that I don't feel
There
I
are some
need to
people
hug you, I don't know,
who do.
you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And then some people maybe
They
need it.
assume you do.
Because something happened to them, that may be why
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys hug
Yeah.
them.
right.
I know at the church of today, there was somebody they had to get rid of because he was hugging inappropriately.
Right.
Mhm.
So, you know.
I mean, a smile and, well, you know,
Yeah.
that.
Okay, I'm dying to know.
No, no,
That was years ago,
I
years ago.
know, but
And I wouldn't even
probably
remember his
there.
last name.
And last but not least, the skill strengthened by empathy is identifying others' needs. So, and again, I do think that we have a strong empathy base here. Just have to remember, not everyone is in the same space as we are.
Boundaries.
Yes, boundaries. And the final area of emotional intelligence is motivation. Motivation is a passion to work for reasons that go beyond money or status, and a propensity to pursue goals with energy and persistence. The persistence part, to me, is one of the things that is really key, because when we set a goal, it doesn't always come as easily as we would hope. And to be persistent, to continue to pursue that goal. I mean, for myself, if I have a goal and I'm not reaching that goal, then I have to look at myself and say, how badly do you want it? Because if I want something bad enough, I'm going to do what it takes to make it happen. But if I find myself, oh well, you know, and I go back to this whole weight thing for me has been it's a lifelong issue. And you know, it's like I don't care when I weighed 115 pounds, which is a long time ago. I was too heavy. You know,
You thought you were too heavy.
oh yeah, that's what and so when we have these things, and so now what I say that to say this, I say that because I don't care, you know, anymore. It's like, yeah, could I lose some weight? Yes, absolutely, no doubt about it. But do I care that much? Not so much, you know? I just don't. Sorry, you're stuck with me.
It's not the weight, it's how you feel.
Yeah.
Your health, you're
Yes.
healthy.
Right.
If you weigh 200 pounds and you feel good and you're healthy, or if you weigh 100 pounds and you feel good,
Yeah.
that's what counts.
Yeah,
Instead of
exactly.
beating up on ourselves.
Yes, which
That's
I
what
was
good too.
excellent at beating up on myself. super good
I
at
think
that.
we've all been there.
I practiced
Well,
that.
why don't we have a class on that, for those of us that don't know?
How not to beat up on this.
Yeah. You got a book?
Then you guys can bring like plastic baseball bats.
Yeah, we can do those, yeah. Well, I was always fascinated by those things that have all the tails on them.
Yeah.
Self-flagellation.
Yeah,
I
yes.
missed that one. It's all right, it's all right. I didn't want to slow you down.
Oh, no, it's
Sure,
all
sure.
good. So we're gonna talk a little bit about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, which I thought was, this is why we do what we do. Okay. Don't you love her? That's me. Extrinsic motivation. Actually, we exercise because someone is forcing us, or telling us we should.
Is that word
Extrinsic. Extrinsic. As the opposite of intrinsic. Or we exercise because we're forcing ourselves. Or we exercise because we want to achieve a personal goal. We exercise because it fits with our values.
I got a mental block.
Yeah,
Help her vision.
yeah. I exercises. I need those. So, you know, those are all, even though, I mean, there's nothing wrong with exercising because it fits with our values, but that is not an intrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation is exercising because we like it. We enjoy
Does
it.
that really happen?
Yeah, it does. For some people, it does. I mean, for me, I love to dance.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And so,
I don't think of that as exercise.
dance, but it is.
It is.
But it
It
is.
is, I just don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't
because
have
I
to be something that
plug
you.
it in another
I mean,
category.
Mike and I started. We joined the OPC in Rochester, and they have a walking track. So we're up on the walking track. Well, down below the walking track is pickleball, and I see these people playing pickleball, and I'm like, I think I'd like that. I don't know how good I'd be at it, but it'd be fun. It's like a combination of tennis and table
You know,
tennis.
it's a net game.
It's on a court.
Small paddle.
Yeah,
Small
well,
paddle,
it's
yeah.
bigger than a ping pong paddle, but it's like it's like a, I don't know, about yay big.
There's a net.
There's a net, and you hit the ball over the net, and you play with teams and all that stuff, and it just looks like fun. I mean, it's like a really
It's real popular now.
real popular.
Very
And
popular.
the court isn't much bigger than this room. So you're not running, it's not like tennis where you're running all over the place and and so it looks like something, it looks like it's doable.
Isn't it more underhand than overhand?
They do it,
They do
one's,
it both.
Both.
I'll tell you, there's some of those people that are pretty good at it, and they're pretty wicked too. Like,
We
I mean,
need
if
to
you
wear
ever
eye
play ping
protectors.
pong with somebody who's really good at ping pong, they're wicked. It's like, come on, I thought we were having fun.
That's my ex-husband, he was very competitive.
Oh,
And he got my oldest daughter to be just as competitive.
You can wear eye protectors, and if I ever did it, I would wear eye protectors, just to protect,
Yeah.
That would be the only area that would concern me, I think.
yeah, but it just looks like, I mean, to me, that I think I would enjoy. But, and honestly, I kind of like lifting weights. I know, it's weird, as weird as that is, I really do.
There's ladies that do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it works.
yeah. I mean, but standing on a treadmill or.
Yep. Not if you have a TV to watch while you're doing that. I
Okay.
know. I was speaking for you.
Okay, extrinsic is something we do because the outcome that will result from doing it. So, a promotion, a pay raise, bonuses, benefits. I mean, a lot of this stuff is related to work. But winning a prize, getting perks. I mean, it's like the credit card that I use is an extrinsic. I was extrinsically motivated to get that particular credit card because I wanted the airline
Oh,
miles.
yeah.
And they were really good airline miles. And because I hate paying for, I love going places, but I hate paying the airfare, especially these days. Intrinsic motivation is what we do because of the interest and enjoyment in the task itself. We do it for enjoyment because we have a purpose. It's for our growth. I mean, it's like, for me, reading. I love to read. It's curiosity, it's a passion, it's a self-expression, or it's just plain fun. I mean, self-expression, I mean, there are people that, something else I've always been interested in that I've never done is pottery. And they have these pottery classes at OPC too, so I'm thinking, well, pottery, you know.
We all have to move to Rochester.
I know. The LPC is nice.
The OPC is really nice. We just went there the other night for they had a dinner for all of the local retirement homes, and the chefs from these retirement homes were competing. And so it was all food tasting, and it was just. I mean, the food was really good. I'm sure that's not what they get every day, but dang, it was good. You know, and everything's reasonably priced because it's for old farts like me.
We have a question.
Anita,
Yes.
so can extrinsic turn into intrinsic?
Mhm.
In other words, you're motivated extrinsically to do something, and then like, oh God, I like this.
Yeah, this is really fun. I'm gonna keep doing it. And I think when that happens, Mike, when something moves from an extrinsic motivation to an intrinsic motivation, that's when we stick with it.
That makes sense.
That's when we stick with it. 'Cause, you know, it's like, I'm not real big about going to the gym, but I have free weights up in my bedroom that I'll sit down with, and I'll just, you know, do my biceps and triceps, and then get on the floor and do a few sit-ups. Now the sit-ups I don't do because I like them, because I need them.
Extrinsic.
Yeah, you bet. But the free weights I do. I enjoy. I just like the feeling of my muscles. You know.
Me too.
Yeah.
No, I like yoga.
Yeah, that's another one.
I like it all.
Yeah.
I like yoga.
Oh, yeah.
So, emotional prosperity and emotional intelligence. This is kind of a summation. Provides emotional intelligence. See, emotional prosperity comes from increasing our emotional intelligence, is the point here, but it was too big to put on the title. So, emotional intelligence provides us the motivation to persist toward a goal in spite of frustrations. It gives us the ability to control our impulses and delay gratification. It helps us to regulate our own moods, gives us the ability to think under stress. Melanie, you brought that up. When you're in those stressful situations, if we have been practicing, if we practice this stuff in the easy situations, then when those tougher situations occur, we are more likely to revert to the intelligence that we've developed over time, the emotional intelligence we've developed over time. It allows for empathy for others and gives us the ability to find hope in the face of disappointment. Because there's always going to be disappointment. It's not going to go away as much as we'd like it to. So now we're going to spend a little bit of time on the relational prosperity, because I really felt that we had to understand, it all begins with us, right? We cannot have these wonderful relationships with family, friends, romantic, or even with acquaintances and strangers. We cannot have relational prosperity out here until we are emotionally prosperous in here. It all begins with us. And this is Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee said this. Self-knowledge involves, well, Mike, can you read that?
Self-knowledge involves relationship. To know oneself is to study oneself in action with another person. Relationship is a process of self-evaluation and self-revelation. Relationship is the mirror in which you discover yourself. To be is to be related.
Right. And one of the things that this reminded me of, and I know there's going to be, everyone will probably relate, how much I have discovered that when I find someone else irritating or annoying, it's because they're doing something that I do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like looking in the mirror. And when I find someone that I just think, oh, they're just so nice. They're just like me.
They're so bad, they're just like me.
So it is. I mean, relationships are, they're the best, aren't they? I mean, they really are. And we learn so much from them. Our relationships form the basis of our lives. And strong, supportive relationships increase our happiness and contribute to our holistic wealth. One of the things that Keisha Blair wrote in her Holistic Wealth book is thinking of it as a holistic wealth bank account. And when we have a bank account, we want to make deposits into it rather than withdrawals from it. So if we think about our holistic wealth bank account, all of these things, the quality of our relationships, the quality of how we handle our emotions, all of these things either add to our holistic wealth bank account or subtract from it. So I just love that. Oh, and this is from this the book that this again. If you want a book that's gonna challenge you, it's called Maybe It's You. Cut the crap, face your fears, love your life. That's the subtitle. And she is a very interesting book.
Who's the author?
It's Lauren Handel Zander, Zander. And this is a quote from that book. The reason many relationships deteriorate over time is that we often don't know how to address and resolve issues as they come up. The result, we end up with a long list of unresolved complaints about each other.
It's like your Mike story.
Yeah, been there, done that, yeah. So, what happens when thoughts fester quietly in the dark over time? They grow, they spread, and we prove them to become more and more true. See, you did it again. I'm not telling you that you did it again, but I saw it. And it's going on my list.
We got to talk.
List is right there.
And this is a quote from Lauren Zander. I promise that each of you has a list that details all the things your partner, your parent, your it's probably your kids, and your boss does wrong. You can choose to use this list as a weapon, or you can use that very same list as a tool to build a better, more mature, and more fulfilling relationship. And
And a lot of times they're just doing it differently. They're not, it may seem, wrong to us, but yeah, it's just different from the way we would do it.
oh yeah.
Scary stuff.
And the older I get, the goofier I just find myself being. It's like I have a certain way that I load the dishwasher.
Oh, yeah. That's been in sitcoms.
She wrote it
Oh,
down.
do the knives go up or do they go down?
Exactly. Somebody comes to my house and they help me. And we have dinner and they help and I'm like, it's like, oh, they didn't put the knives go there. They don't go there. You don't mix the knives and the forks together.
That's right, you don't.
Oh, we need to move along. We haven't gotten to the part I've been waiting for here.
So ordinary relationships become extraordinary, and this is about belonging. This is we're going to be wrapping up now. And I told you I was going to go long. I apologize. And this is from this is another really good book. It's called The Trance of Scarcity by The Trance of Scarcity by Victoria Castle. Of all the mammals on Earth, we spend the greatest length of time dependent on others. Our survival depends on being included, cared for, and accepted so we belong to our tribe. Belonging is a really interesting thing. In all our choices, the issue of belonging stands in the background,
I got it.
whether we're aware of it or not. For most of us, wanting to belong runs the whole show. The trouble is, most of us are convinced we didn't make the cut, that we don't belong. So we spend our time either auditioning for others' approval, hoping we'll be included, or pretending not to care whether we're in or out. And the bottom of all this suffering lies the trance of scarcity. This is where I got that not enoughness part from this book. And isn't that true? That so many of us think, I'm not enough, there's not enough.
And it stems from abandonment issues. It can be way back.
Yeah. I mean, this whole issue, this could be a whole class in and of itself, this issue of how much we crave to feel like we belong.
Yeah, I'd like to say something on this.
Yes.
It's kind of related. I heard someone say once that we're either looking for love or what was it? We're either looking for love or
Running from it?
never mind. I think I forgot it.
Okay. If you remember, let us know.
Yeah, I will.
Well, A Course in Miracles says either we're crying out for love
Yeah.
or we're extending love. One or
Yes,
the other.
that's the one. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
And this is from Albert Einstein. The most important decision we make is whether we live in a friendly universe or not. And this, again, I just thought was totally, totally interesting. So if the universe is not friendly, we hold ourselves at the mercy of imagined, hostile, external forces, and we feel strictly on our own. And this belief impoverishes every area of our life. Do you see how this ties into prosperity? If the universe is friendly, this is so good. We show up at the party ready to greet old friends and meet new ones. We add our signature dish to the potluck and prepare to feast. We understand that partaking of the flow takes nothing away from anyone else. We freely partake and freely contribute to the constant stream of resources and possibilities, and our belonging is undeniable. disputed.
Thanks.
So if we're living in that world of not enoughness, basically what we're saying is God isn't love, because if God was love, then I would have plenty. That's why that's why I have not taken that slide out about our core beliefs and our core values. Because if we don't even know what they are, if we haven't taken the time to look within ourselves and discover what's there, then we don't know. And if we don't know what's there, we can't grow, we can't evolve, we can't go upward in that spiral. We end up going around in circles.
The pigeon is driving the bus.
It's such a great book, you gotta love it.
Does it come from that book?
The children.
Connectedness is an organizing principle of the universe. Everything is connected. And when you, if you look this up, this is not woo-woo stuff. This is science. This is science. Everything is connected. And there's that energy that is the connection that I agree with Charles Fillmore, those ethers are all divine consciousness. It's all love. We just swim in this vast ocean of love, of the energy of love. And this is a quote from Louisa May Alcott. Help one another is part of the religion of sisterhood. Brotherhood too, but
Humanhood.
yeah, humanhood.
Gary and Mike, welcome.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
we
you know-
really,
you know, I
need that energy. We do.
Well, I do think,
Yes.
and I do think that we all carry both the feminine and the masculine
Right,
energies.
We do.
And it's just that, men have a little more of the masculine energy and women have a little more of the feminine, but we both carry it.
Not
Carrying
necessarily.
both.
There's some people that have a little more than the other.
True.
And Louisa May Alcott lived a long time ago. Do you know what I mean? So, that's the way she would have said it.
Yep.
Saying.
Relational abundance encourages both parties to nurture their passions and transform. So when we're in a relationship that is a full relationship, an abundant relationship, we want we want as much for the other person as for ourselves. So these are some tips for creating relational abundance. Ask for input. Check in with people. Celebrate how people see themselves. Give voice to those who feel ignored. Encourage smaller group gatherings, which we do here. These are all things that we need to be doing here at Unity East, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. Create a psychologically safe place, and this is my favorite. Play, work, eat, and pray together. We do that pretty good. So the idea is to, and this again comes from the trance of scarcity. She says we need to step into the circle of abundance, and leave our baggage outside. The circle is home to a flow of satisfying relationships, meaningful work, inspired learning, endless resources and opportunities, laughter and creativity, and a prevailing sense of ease. Victoria Castle. Excellent book. And this is in closing. Now is the time for us to embody a way of being that is in alignment with abundance, which is the state of ease and flow. Thank you, guys. Next week is the final session, and it will be financial prosperity. Dissatisfaction of present financial conditions is the first step toward attaining financial independence. If you can't settle for things the way they are, good. You have the power through prosperous thought and action to change them into something far better and more satisfying. So, let's close with a prayer.
Once I found that out.
Let's center ourselves, relax, take a couple deep breaths. And from this place of oneness, we say thank you. We say thank you for this day, for this church, for these people, for this class, for all the many blessings that we receive through this church and through these teachings. And we are so grateful just to be here at this time in these particular physical forms, enjoying one another, loving life, and moving upward in that spiral of evolution. We are so grateful. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.